Hi, Joyce. Looks like we're the only couple that are of people that are actually back.
I'm here, Kurt.
Oh, hey, Rick.
I haven't left.
I talk to you all the time, though.
I know. That was a nice session. I really enjoyed Brad's
It was
presentation.
excellent.
Heartfelt, I felt, and
Indeed.
I felt really good about it.
Indeed, was excellent, 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 excellent.
Yeah, I thought it was neat the way he tied it into Rotarians and how we can work together with Indigenous. That was great.
Indeed.
Actually, that was good to hear. I just finished that Indigenous Canada course. Did that 12-week thing. And it's nice to hear some of that, which is just in person, ratifying and kind of clarifying some of the points that you get from online learning. So it was good.
Hearing it from an individual rather than from a book, so to speak. So the course was really good, Jim?
Oh. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, some parts, well, I guess we're a little slow, but it's 12 weeks, takes 20 hours. I think that's what they say it takes. So it was good. And I thought, and I grew up in Saskatchewan, and there's lots of Indigenous around where I grew up, and it just gives you another perspective.
Yeah, excellent. Good to hear. I've been considering taking that course myself, trying to figure out where I would fit the time in, though.
Yeah. Well, that's
Who did you take it with, Jim?
Pardon?
Who did you take it with? Who did you take it with?
It's called if you Google Indigenous Canada, you're probably going to come up with it. It's an outfit out of the U of A has done it. It's about 4 years old, I think. If you need a link, I can find a link for you.
Please, thank you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I believe we're time to restart our session. So I hope everyone had a good, refreshing break. I filled up my coffee cup and I'm ready to go for the next bit.
Kurt, do you see it on screen?
I do indeed. Otherwise, I'd be complaining.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
Good.
So next up today is Charvi Shaw. Charvi is an extremely busy young person. She sits on our district board. She's the Rotary Committee Chair. She's the Youth Mentorship Lead on our Learning and Development Committee and is our district Rotaract representative at the international level. In addition, she's going to university full-time. She's a member of the U of C Rotaract Club, and today she will be talking to us about the opportunities to be a mentor and to be mentored. Mentorship, a guiding hand. Over to you, Charvi.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Kurt. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be here to speak a little bit about our youth mentoring program in the district. So if you don't mind going to our next slide, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. A little bit of background information on what this program is. It is our second year of the mentorship program, partnering young Rotaractors with our wonderful Rotarians. We are matching mentors and mentees based on career paths, aspirations, and hobbies. Our objective through this program is to facilitate relationships between Rotaractors and Rotarians, allow Rotaractors to learn tips and professional development skills, and draw on the life experience of Rotarians. So a few key dates and timeline, short timeline so that our district is aware of what's coming up. We will be giving out all our marketing in early December, and by December 15th, all our communication to Rotaractors and Rotarians will be sent out. We are primarily working via email through Club Runner, as well as social media platforms to reach out to both parties. So by December 15th, we will have all the information out in our district, and it would be wonderful if we could get some help circulating that from our district. We will be accepting applications for Rotarians up until the beginning of January via a Google form. We did find that last year we had a lot of Rotarian involvement, which was really lovely, but Rotaractors are a smaller group of people, so we did have an imbalance in Rotarians and Rotaractors who were involved. We did solve that at a small scale last year, but this year we are really hoping to grow the program and involve as many Rotaractors and Rotarians as possible. And that's why we're hoping that we can use this mentorship program as a tool to engage new Rotaract members. And that's why throughout all of January, we will be encouraging and supporting our Rotaract clubs to advertise the mentorship program as a way to attract new membership. And hopefully throughout January, if we do get some interest from more Rotaractors, we will be pairing up more Rotarians and Rotaractors on a rolling basis up until the end of January. And that brings us to February till April, which we will be running our formal program. And last year, we did see that a lot of our Rotarians and Rotaractors did still continue their mentorship relationship after the program was formally complete. So we're hoping that this year that same culture continues, and a lot of our Rotarians and Rotaractors do still have that relationship past our program. At the end of May, we will be having a little event called our Mentorship Mixer, which is a little wrap up and congratulations and feedback day. So just so you're aware, this is our timeline as of now. And next up, I'd like to speak a little bit about why we started this program and what we learned from last year. So in September of last year, my friend Ikmat and I were both helping Rick out on the Learning and Development Committee, and we were Rotaractor advisors. And so we were brainstorming and thinking of ways that we could really benefit our Rotaractors in our district. So we spoke to them and found that a lot of the feedback was about, I want to develop my professional skills, my personal skills, and I really look up to Rotarians and how they have been successful in their careers or been dedicated to volunteerism for a very long time or been involved in their communities, and even in some ways linking the two. So we thought the best way to fulfill this need would be to form those one-on-one relationships between Rotaractors and Rotarians. We began this program so that we could facilitate that as well as add to our district's vibrancy. So this little slide is a little feature that we did on our social media with one of the Rotaractors in my club, Jeremy Chan, and his mentor, Christine Rendell. And one of the great things about their relationship was that Christine had brought Jeremy onto one of the committees that she was working on for mental health. And because of that, he became more involved with our Rotary district, had a greater understanding of Rotary, and was able to involve himself in something that he was passionate about. And Christine was the facilitator of that, which was really a great story that came out of it. And we're really happy that that could happen. As well as for me, I had two mentors last year, and one of them was Don Taylor. And Don Taylor had really opened me up to a lot of things in Rotary that I was not aware of. And I was in a few positions in Rotary that required some knowledge of me, especially when it came to how the Rotary Foundation works, which I really didn't have much of a clue of. But having this relationship with Don really allowed me to understand what kind of things go on in the club level in terms of fundraising and how all of those processes work. So all in all, one of the really great things I learned from Don was more about how Rotary works. If you could go to the next slide, please. So last year at our mentorship mixer, we did take some feedback and we made a little impact report. And it was a really great time for us. We had a lot of positive feedback and it was very inspiring. So a few things that key takeaways from that mentorship mixer were that both our Rotarians and Rotaractors felt that the program was mutually beneficial. A lot of our Rotarians found out new things about youth today and what kind of challenges they're facing, as well as practice, we're able to connect with Rotarians who had been through something similar or get a new perspective on solving issues that we face today. So that's kind of why that mentorship is a guiding hand. It's not going to solve your problems. It's not going to fix anything, but it is another support system there, especially between Rotaractors and Rotarians. It's very unique. So a few of our Rotaractors had also said that the Rotary Rotaract mentorship program was something that was very important, especially at a time during COVID where everyone was isolated. So we were happy that this program had also helped out a little bit in this tough time. And lastly, Danny had mentioned that he was very interested in how his mentor had blended some of his medical field interests as well as his passion for volunteerism. So on both sides, a lot of our Rotaractors and Rotarians were very inspired by each other to continue to propel on in the Rotary family. So if on the next slide, I will speak a little bit about our goals for this year and long term. So in this year, one of our main things, as I mentioned before, is to allow the program to become a tool to recruit and engage and retain new Rotaractors. On the other hand, we are looking to the district for collaboration opportunities. An example of this that we had just formed a relationship with the New Generations Service Exchange Committee recently. And one of their ideas for engaging our Rotaractors with the NGSC is to advertise the program and the opportunities that this committee provides to young people. And one of the key connections here is that Rotaractors are at the age where we are young adults or university students looking towards career opportunities in the future. And one of the great things that a Rotaractor can do on a service exchange virtually, even this year, is to connect with a culture, but also explore their interest and career path and how it works in another community, in another country. Another goal that we have this year is to involve interactors. And while they are minors, we do have some considerations to look into. So that's one of the things that we are planning for this year and hopeful that we can start an Interact Rotary Rotaract mentorship program in the 2022 to 2023 year. And in the future, we are hopeful that we can share this program with other districts Canada-wide, as well as through the international community. Last year, we had a Rotarian who was from a district in India and was very keen on joining our program. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to join our program, but we really hope that we can encourage other districts to adopt their own program. One of the things that we were featured in was the Rotaract Zone Handbook, where we shared a little bit about our program and how we started it. So we are looking into more opportunities to share our program as well as grow our program here at home this year. So all in all, I'm really grateful that I could share this with you. I'm hopeful that throughout this year, our district will continue to support our youth in all the amazing ways that you do. I would love for everybody and anybody to keep the dialogue open about this program. If you do have Rotarians in your club who are a mentor, that would be lovely if you could support them as well as invite Rotaractors to the Rotary community in whichever ways possible. And lastly, since we're all district members, district leadership. If you have any suggestions as to how we can collaborate, please reach out to me whenever possible, and we will absolutely discuss that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charvi. It was such an excellent, well done presentation. Thank you. We all learned a lot about the opportunities for being a mentor and the benefit to you if you become a mentor. You get to learn more about how young people think, how they feel. Excellent opportunity for everybody. Thank you for bringing it up. Does anybody have any questions for Charvi? If so, if you could put them in the chat, that would be great. Great job is one of the comments, Charvi. Thank you, Charvi. Well done. Great job.
So much.
Terrific. I don't see any questions, just a lot of compliments. Well deserved as well. So thank you very much for your time today, Charvi. Okay, there are no questions there, so we're going to move on to Justine Wild and Khalid Keshavji. Justine is a member of the Rotary Club of University of Calgary. She's also the chair of the District Youth Services Committee. Justine and Khalid today will be talking about serving the future of Rotary, youth services. Over to you, Justin and Khalid.
Thanks so much. We actually don't have slides, so we can stop the screen share and we can look directly at you all wonderful people with your cameras on. But thanks so much for having us. We're super happy to be here. We have a bit of a tight agenda. We have about 10 minutes of us talking at you, and then we'll get you in the breakout rooms for about 10 minutes to help us with some discussions. So yeah, we just wanted to start off by talking a little bit about why youth services, why do we serve youth? As someone who works with youth professionally and does this in my volunteer and free time, I can attest to how wonderful it is to work with youth. I think it's the best thing ever. When we work with youth, what we're doing is we're investing in our future. We're investing not only in the future of our communities, our future leaders, we're also investing in the future of Rotary. While our youth programs aren't meant to be a direct funnel to Rotarians, we are planting the seeds of service above self, of our Rotarian values, and that will come back to pay us off in the future. It might not be immediate, but it's a long-term investment, and it's one that's going to impact our clubs, our district, and the communities that we live in. Another great benefit of working with youth is to help your clubs. As I said, I'm someone who's super passionate about youth service. That is how I would stay engaged in Rotary and in a club. And you probably have some members too who that's their passion, is working with youth. So it's a way to engage your members, and it's also a way to retain them and also attract new ones if they come to Rotary with goals of working with youth development and youth leadership. These are really great opportunities. So really quick, Cal, do you have anything to add in terms of why we serve youth?
I think that Justine covered the big ones. I think our objective here today is, we've got the best and brightest minds in the district here on this call today. And I think for us, our objective is to just roll through what the big youth programs are and just kind of chat about where youth services can go next, how we can better engage our youth across the district. So Justine and I are going to kind of rapid fire our way through the youth programs, and then we'll have some discussion time. So Justine, pass it over to you.
Awesome, great. So we're going to go through this in an age order. We are going to go a little bit fast, but I do have some great news. We have a youth program handbook coming out in the next week or so that goes through all of these programs in more detail. If you want more information, this is just a big high-level overview of our youth programs. So first, we're going to start off with our youngest program, and that is Early Act. So Early Act serves youth between the ages of 5 to 13. You'll more likely find these clubs in an elementary school, but they are also in middle schools as well. The goal of these clubs is to engage youth who are starting to show leadership skills and want to help out in their community and practice community care. And so basically their goal is to run one project that will benefit their school, one project that will benefit their community, and one that will build international understanding.
Perfect. The next program is RAYEC, the Rotary Alberta Youth Entrepreneurship Camp. It's a partnership between Rotary and Community Futures that runs every August for youth aged 13 to 15. It runs for a full week with the objective being to educate youth about marketing, advertising, and business. The campers set up their own business over the course of the week using actual money that they borrow from actual bankers. And on Friday at the end of the camp, they have a business day where youth sell the product that they have developed to people in the community, and they get to keep the profits of their business. Throughout the course of the business day, they focus on their business and on business development with mentors from the entrepreneurship community in Southern Alberta. And in the evenings, they get to have a lot of fun. So it's a nice balance between work and play.
Awesome. So kind of picking up off of that age group, at about 13 years old, we can start seeing interact clubs. Interact clubs are more often found in high school communities. So they serve to, very similar to Early Act, they serve their school community, their larger community, as well as they build international understanding. So these clubs can be involved in a lot of projects. They do a lot more leadership development training at this age. And particularly within our district, we have some really great sort of building projects for them, including the All Interact Presidents Forum. We have a district interact committee, as well as the interaction symposium. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to engage with others in our district, to build more understanding, have more collaboration. And as Charvi was mentioning with the mentorship program, we are hoping to help bring them more into our family with Rotaract and with Rotary.
Perfect. The next one we have is Ripen. Ripen is the Rotary Youth Program of Enrichment, EN, aimed for youth aged 13 to 17, and it runs every September for about 4 days at Southern Alberta Bible Camp. The objective of Ripen is a little bit like some of the other youth programs like RILA, where they look to develop emerging young leaders. But with Ripen, the objective is to take people who maybe aren't at the top of their class, but who have a lot of leadership potential, but maybe haven't had the experiences and the opportunities to really showcase and develop those talents. So Ripen over 4 days uses personal growth, leadership development, ethics, motivation, movement, artistic expression to try and develop young leaders across the district for those who haven't maybe had those opportunities. And it's a very hands-on interactive camp, and is very excited to host again in 2022 in September.
The next program is the Rotary Youth Exchange. So this one kicks off around 15 and a half is what age you have to go on, or to go on the exchange. And ideally between 15 to 17 years old, so that they can have a more easy exchange in a high school setting. So the Rotary Youth Exchange program is great. It goes for about a year. There's also a short-term program, which is over the summer months. Rotary Youth Exchange is a really phenomenal way to build our young leaders, and particularly around this idea of international understanding. They get to experience an entirely new culture, oftentimes coming back with new language skills, and just so much personal growth by being able to stay with these host families in another country, in a new environment. And yeah, it's a really wonderful program. And yeah, we're on hold for this year, but we'll have more information for the following year.
The next program we have is RILA, the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, for youth aged 15 to 17 across the district, and it's held every May, usually on Mother's Day weekend. RILA engaged established youth leaders in a shared journey of leadership through personal development. What that means is it's a program for youth leaders who are already engaged in their schools. So you're looking at people who are involved in students' union, people who are part of sports teams, and established leaders within their communities. And RILA takes these people and makes them better leaders. That's the objective. And that's through a shared journey of leadership, as well as with personal development, trying to figure out what you've been through, what makes you a leader, and how we can make you better at it. The program runs for about 4.5 days with the hopes of developing better leaders and building a network of young leaders across Southern Alberta and around the world.
Awesome. So not really a youth program, but we're including it here because they serve youth is Rotaract. So Rotaract seeks to serve young people over the age of 18. There used to be a cap at 30 years old. It no longer exists. But that's roughly the age range that we're looking at is 18 to 30s. Rotaract clubs are usually found at a university or a post-secondary setting where they can have the support of the students union, and there's already a little community built, but there's also community-based clubs which offer just a little bit more flexibility in terms of who can join those clubs. Rotaract, very similar again to that early active interact, really seeking to build on community service as well as international service. But a big piece of Rotaract is professional development. So the kind of the tagline for Rotaract is professional development through service. So Rotaractors really look to things like the mentorship program as Charlie was sharing, but also using projects, using connections with Rotary clubs and collaborations to develop their personal skills, to pick up new skills, to hone the ones they already do, so that they can become more competitive in the job market, or even just to learn something new for fun.
The final youth program we'll talk about today is NGSE, the New Generation Service Exchange. This is a flexible program for youth aged 18 to 30 to develop their vocation in another part of the world. It can be for a couple of weeks or up to 6 months. The idea being that, if you want to learn your trade and you want to do it in a different country, you can do that. You can develop what you're passionate about in conjunction with a Rotary club in another part of the world. The objective is to focus on vocation, of course, but also to develop a learning and understanding of a different culture and to engage in Rotary service. Most recently, the most recent NGSE program had a student virtually from Sao Paulo, Brazil, have an 8-week program across Southern Alberta focusing on marketing and entrepreneurship. And while we couldn't do it in person, it was a great success. It actually led to the development of a STEM program at a primary school in Sao Paulo. So lots of really, really good positives that came out of that.
Wonderful. Okay, I hope this hasn't been too much information overload, but we are going to get you into breakout rooms. We have a couple discussion questions for you. So the first is, can you identify any youth in your community who would be a good fit for these Rotary youth programs? We also want you to think about what are the strategies that we can use to connect these youth to our programs. Essentially, like, how can we get these referrals to these programs and connect them? So take some notes, and when we come back, pop them in the chat so we can see everyone's ideas.
Okay, everyone remaining should have their room assigned. You just need to accept the invitation.
Mhm.
Brian, I didn't put you into a room. I didn't know if you were.
No, that's fine. Rick and I usually kind of wait in the side.
No, I
in the wings.
assume that as well.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
So Cam, Dan, Steve, you should, if you're there, you should just have to join your room. Mohammed.
Mohammed has posted in the chat that he's driving right now, so he can't join.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay, yep, no problem. Just read that.
Julie, are you able to join your room? You're in room number 1. These people may be
Charlene
waiting.
here. I don't see my invite to a room.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. That's my apology, Charlene. I thought that was Rick. So here, I'll put you into a room. Sorry, Charlene. It's my fault.
It's all right.
Actually, I'm gonna move you, Charlene, into a different room. Oh, she's gone.
She's in 4.
That's fine. I just picked a room randomly. I shipped her into 3 because there's a few people not in there.
Okay.
I'm gonna move her to 3 just to balance them out.
I confirmed with Mohammed that we had seen his note.
Oh yeah, Dan's tied up at the moment. No problem, Dan. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
The biggest
Correct.
number I've seen in terms of participants is 30. Does that agree with everybody?
I didn't see yet. Got
I'll double check when everyone comes back.
yeah, whenever. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because everyone that was on at the start is still here except for Brad. So Brad Spence. So let's
Right,
add
right.
Brad to the number. He's the
Okay.
only one who's logged off.
Yeah, we had a couple of people come in a little bit on the later side, like
Yeah.
Khaled and Joyce
Corey.
Wick.
And Khaled and Corey joined later. Yeah.
Is Corey here now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I let him in a little while ago.
Okay, I didn't have him. Doug McDonald, I'm not seeing.
No Doug, no Ria, no Menon.
Okay, that's the 3. Yeah. Okay, well, we agree then. Was it fairly streamlined, Rob, for in terms of setting it up?
Yeah, I just the time was already set at 10 minutes. I didn't have a chance to go and change the time to 8 minutes just because I didn't want to hit something and
Yeah.
have people go
Well,
into rooms. So I didn't want to open them up until Justine said we're going to go into I didn't want to risk something. So so the time is still set at 10 minutes. That's the only
what
thing.
I would do when it gets to 8 minutes, close them.
Yeah.
You can manually control that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, everything's fine. I just, as per your recommendation, I just went through and made sure there was just people from the different affiliations mixed in. So AG board members, committee members,
Yeah,
mixed in the leadership stream in there as well. Try to keep it balanced and just try to make sure it was male and female in each group too. So it wasn't just all males or all females, just difference of opinion.
That youth service area is very busy. And I say that in a good way. I mean, they've got a lot on the go.
I have one irritant with youth, the reference to youth services.
What's that, Rick?
How many avenues of service does Rotary have?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
And I missed one slide there that I needed to correct. I did correct them where I found it.
Oh, you have sharp eyes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, somebody's got sharper eyes is Rob, because he identified a missing bracket.
A bracket.
Wow.
I figured, well, Rob, this guy is
well,
some power sauce.
104 pages and you missed a bracket, Rick. Geez.
Yeah.
You're slipping.
I was going to comment, but only in private.
No problem, Julie. No problem, Julie. So
So we
right
should,
now,
yeah, we should close it off, shouldn't we?
yeah, 2 minutes. I was gonna do.
We're pretty close, yeah.
Because they want 2 minutes for a wrap, and we're supposed to start with the next one at 10:45. Yeah. Good, good, good.
Not bad, Rick.
It's working pretty well. It's been a while since we've done this.
Mm-hmm. Good. Rick, has there ever been any discussion about trying to see if we could not find an Indigenous person to sit on the board?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, you need to ask, I guess, Martin right now to
Okay.
see what's, you know, I think
Everyone's,
that,
everyone's
Coming
back.
Okay, will do, Rick.
That seemed pretty short.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. If you could pop some ideas in the chat box that came up during your discussion, would be much appreciated. We're always trying to tackle this question of how we can get more youth into our programs. Yeah, we appreciate any insight you have, and I think that's our time. So thank you so much for having Khaled and I.
Yeah, thank you.
No, we're gonna go back. There we go.
Thank you so much, Justine and Khalid, for your excellent presentation and giving us a chance to talk amongst ourselves and talk about our, youth in our areas and how it affects us. Something you spoke about at the beginning that truly is important, that the youth programs are as much, well, obviously they're there to provide support to the youth. They also help to engage Rotarians in our clubs who have a passion for youth service. That's so important to remember. And I'm really looking forward to receiving the handbook that you mentioned that is going to be coming out in the near future. I'm, like I said, looking forward to that. Next up this morning is Karen Blewett. You already heard a little bit from her earlier this morning. She's a member of the Rotary Ignite Club. Karen has a wealth of experience in the area of strategic planning. Today, she is going to share some of that knowledge with us. Strategic Planning 101, why it makes a difference. Karen.
Thank you, Kurt. And I'm excited to be here again and share a little bit about strategic planning with you. So if you can move to the next slide, thank you. So first, just a quick overview of what I'm going to cover here today. First, what is strategic planning and its importance? So to give a little bit detail on the benefits of strategic planning and perhaps how we in the district can share and promote that. And then a quick overview of the planning process itself and the bulk of the 10 or so minutes that I'll be talking about it to really talk about how we can engage clubs in the process, what the district is and can be doing in that area, and then just some additional resources and information to share with you. Next slide, please. So what is strategic planning and why is it important? Next. So this visual just gives a nice quick summary because we're only doing this in a Coles Notes version of strategic planning. So strategic planning is really a future-oriented roadmap of where we're going, where we are now, as you can see by the circle at the bottom, to where we're heading in the future. And then how are we going to get there? So it's really intended to be a living document, organizing all of the stuff that we're doing and putting it together into a path forward in the future. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of strategic planning. First of all, those involved in planning get a real understanding of what the club is about, how it works, and how it functions. So this is really good for new members and, obviously existing members to work in a common direction. The second point there is about the work of the Rotary Club. It can really help us align with our decision making and how we allocate our resources. So if we have a clear path of where we're going, we can, adapt our budget items, also our people power, because a lot of times there's lots of things going on in our Rotary clubs. So a plan can help us organize that to see what's realistic for us. The third one there is the common purpose, or the coordination of us moving in one direction. I know sometimes in Rotary clubs, we have tons of stuff going on, and it maybe even sometimes overwhelming. So a strategic plan can really help us align that and get our ducks in a row and have everybody working towards the same end goal. And the fourth point is probably my favorite point in terms of really getting clubs to think about their key messages and then the impact that we're having in the community. So this is when I work with clubs, and I've worked with a number of them over the year and a half, and also previously, because I do strategic planning for a living. And this one is really, I think, powerful for us in Rotary to kind of be able to really ask like the why Rotary. So we talked about somebody, I think Martin had mentioned this at the beginning. And so it's really important for us to think about that. And planning can really help us, be better at the branding and sharing our Rotary story. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just mention this piece about the alignment in Rotary with our Rotary family. So, at the club level, we can have our plans, as well as the district has a strategic plan, and then Rotary International. It can also help us align locally what we're doing, in the Rotary, the My Rotary, where we put our goals in and things like that, as well as opportunity for us to connect. So connecting with the district and connecting with perhaps international with different priorities that are going on. I just wanted to give a quick example here on the right-hand side of the screen, is that I think at least two of the clubs that I've worked with in the last year and a half on their planning have linked the work that they did in their plan to Rotary International's 4 priority areas. Now, I'm not 100% sure how long these priorities have been around, not that long, probably maybe a year or so, but it just kind of goes to show how we can really connect what we're doing locally with the broader district and Rotary International. Next slide, please. So this is another piece that I share with organizations and Rotary clubs, is that I think strategic planning can be more than just the checklist of, writing a document. So the two columns that you see in the middle there are what we do at the board level and the committee level in our club with our members, is really being, proactive and kind of leading the club, aligning our, creating a framework for where we're going. Club committees can really, see what we're doing and, align their action plans to what the broader club is doing. And I also see some synergies here, or potential for us at the district level. You, as a number of you, presented some really great information on diversity inclusion and youth programming, Rotaract, et cetera. So maybe there's some opportunities for us at the district level as leaders to then share with some of the club activities of different clubs working on those same areas. And then in the broader context, actually the community and our partners like to see what we're doing as well. They get an idea of, hey, what is this club all about? And then aligning what they're doing, and they might be able to see where they fit. And yet I talked about the branding or the key messaging about our impact. It'd be really good for us to share with that in the community, so people go, oh, wow, that really resonates with me. So that's just kind of how some of the ideas of how we can, strategic planning can help us get there. So next slide, please. So I'm just going to go over the strategic planning process in 3 seconds. No, just joking, just really quite quickly. And, you may have seen my presentation in past district, events or whatever. And so I get into the, a little bit of the details of this. So you can always ask me and I can share that with you. If you want to go to the next slide, please. So these are the typical elements that we see in a strategic plan, and Rotary clubs may or may not engage in all of them. And so I've worked with a number of different clubs doing a whole strategic plan, action planning, all that kind of stuff. And others were just, hey, we just want to establish some priorities, or we just need to focus really in our membership or whatever it may be. So the foundation piece is really the background stuff that we look at, our vision, our purpose, and the why Rotary. Environmental scanning is just taking a pulse of what we're doing in the community, what's going on internally in our club and externally. Goals, strategies, and evaluation are the, what are we doing? How are we going to get there? And how are we going to measure success? How are we going to know we were successful? So next slide, please. So the next piece is really kind of some ideas and strategies around how we can engage clubs in the planning process, and what, you know, some of the things that I've done as the strategic planning lead person, and some of the things that, you know, clubs have asked me over the course of the year and a half. So what's involved in that, and then a couple of just options that we can look at, and what I've kind of learned, I guess, over the last year and a half. And then what is the district and club leader roles in terms of what support we can provide in planning. So next slide, please. So first of all, hopefully the clubs are discussing it at their local level in terms of, okay, so where are we at? What do we actually need to do? And, you know, what does that entail? Then the second point there is like, okay, what kind of process will best meet our needs? Now, sometimes clubs don't know this. They know they have to do some strategic planning, but don't really know where to begin. So that then ties into number 3, which is how we connect with the district and what the district support is. And so I think this is kind of an interesting piece, because it's sometimes we're like, well, we can help clubs do a strategic plan. However, maybe there's also some coaching roles in there. And this is really where I see, I'm hoping, and if I had more time, we could chat about it a little more. But like the AGs and the different committees that we have at the district level, you know, how can we help clubs with their planning in specifically your areas of expertise and what you do as a district leader? And then the fourth piece there is the time and commitment. So, you know, what is the club able to commit to? And again, not one size doesn't fit all. You know, we have different levels of engagement and readiness in clubs, and so we just have to be mindful of that. Next slide. So this is a very detailed table, which I won't go into detail. You can see the slide deck after the presentation. Just wanted to mention that I developed this because I thought there's so many different ways that we as the district can provide resources and support. So I linked this all in terms of what does that look like for planning. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you know, these are some of the different planning processes. And then what kind of topic or format do we do this in? What does the resort or the district actually provide, or what kind of resources can we give clubs? And then how often can we do this, and when does it happen? So just from a quick point of view, the facilitated piece and self-guided planning. So that's a lot of what I do get requests for in terms of, you know, can the district provide support in this? So yes, we can provide facilitation support to help a club go through that. And there's a number of clubs in on this call that I've worked with, you know, doing that in the last year and a half, as well as self-guided. So, you know, Rotarians have, you know, a wealth of knowledge and information, and some of them are like, hey, do you just have a template on this? Or can I just borrow your strategic planning template? And I'm just going to talk to my club about it. And that's great too. So there's different ways that clubs can engage. And then the next one is the member and community engagement. And this is one that if we have another separate meeting or time to connect, I would love to, you know, have an opportunity to talk to district leaders about, okay, so how do we engage our members and our community in this, in planning, and how can we, you know, really encourage it? And so this could be district led, or it could be, you know, club led as well. So, you know, maybe that's a future conversation I'd love to get ideas on. And I won't get into the other ones too much detail. The multi-club idea is that maybe, and it hasn't happened yet, but maybe we can collaborate, and even on a Zoom meeting, get clubs together and talk about planning or one planning topic. They can go away with something for their local club, but they also get the benefit and the value of hearing from the district and hearing from other clubs, and that learning and sharing opportunity. Surveys our district is amazing at, as well as some of our clubs. The question is, what is our district role in that? Is it, you know, we can also provide surveys or templates, but maybe it's also to coach clubs on, okay, what kind of surveys are out there, and how can they help your club? So learning from other district leaders or experts in all of these different committees that we have, as well as, you know, what other kind of what surveys are out there that they can use, and maybe borrow from the district, from what the district has used. So that's just giving you some examples of me unpacking how we as a district can maybe, and I would love to see if there's any ideas you have as leaders where else we could add to this in terms of what the district provides support to. So next slide. Now here in terms of the district leaders leading by example, well, we have a district strategic plan. Our district leader group here was involved in co-creating it, which is really important. And so our role then is to promote and encourage clubs to figure out, you know, what's out there, what options do you have? How can we customize it to the needs of clubs? How can we provide that support? And then connect clubs to the district support out there. So You know, we also have the community needs assessments as an example. Well, we have someone in the district or a committee in the district that does that. We talked about diversity and inclusion, and if clubs are interested in that, we have district support and expertise. So how do we as district leaders, you know, keep encouraging that with our clubs? And then at the club level, obviously you take it down to boots on the ground, and they similarly lead by examples, but they're the ones that, you know, put the rubber to the road, where they get their members to participate, you know, actually commit the time to the planning and do some follow-up and communication. Next slide, please. So now this part is where I'm gonna hopefully have a couple of minutes just to throw a question on a whiteboard and have people share their ideas around this. The question is how can we as district leaders encourage clubs to participate and commit to planning? So what are we already doing? So I gave a few examples of that. What else could we be doing? And maybe how can we perhaps take an active leadership role in it? So one of the things I'm going to do here first is put these questions into the chat so everybody can see that. So now if you're not able to use the whiteboard, that's okay. Feel free to just enter your thoughts into the chat like we did in the last one. And I believe I'm going to be able to share my.
So Brian, if you can unshare your screen so that Karen can start the whiteboard. Thank you.
Will do, Kurt. Just doing it right now.
Thank you.
Done.
Awesome. All right. So now for people that, if you just need a quick refresh on how to get into the whiteboard or how to use it, if you go to the top right-hand side of your screen where it says view options, you click on that and there's an annotate button. And then when you click on that, you can go into, there's a toolbar that comes up and it has text. And so then that's where you can put your ideas on this. I thought I was able to copy the question, but it doesn't look like I am. So let's just put, what are some, let's see here. Can everybody see the whiteboard?
Yep.
All right. All right, so what are some of the different ideas of way clubs can, how the district can engage our clubs in planning? So if people want to start putting their ideas in here, that would be great. And then we'll reconvene. We'll just do a couple of minutes on this. We just have a couple of minutes.
Karen, can you hear
Yeah.
me? I
Yeah.
can't figure out how to write today here, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, if you want to drop your ideas in the chat box, that's good.
Can I tell you it?
Oh, sure.
One of the things with our club, we've gone through the starting phase way too many times. I want to do it, but I need you to, not you, but I need you to tell us, Harvey, step 1, step 2, step 3, we will be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I had another slide on this, but I had, you know, we have to keep it short, but actually that's a common thing is where we get kind of stumped. We're able to chat about it, our planning, but then the next step is how do we actually pull it all together, implement it, and move it to action and get people engaged in that process. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge that we need to work on, I think, in clubs, is to get past that point and do that. And I have a couple of tips at the end here of the presentation I can share, but if you want to connect with me offline, that would be great.
And I've asked Neil Berg to talk to you because we are at step 2 and we need to move on, but we'll talk. Thanks.
Yeah,
Karen.
that sounds
Thanks,
good.
Kurt.
No problem, no problem. So I'm just going to quickly share a couple of things here I see on the screen. We've got a number of great ideas. presenting at club meetings, I think that's awesome. AGs go to visit different clubs, so it might be a great opportunity for them to kind of share or promote that it's an option for them to get involved in planning, and they can do it in so many ways. I worked with one AG in the room here, and we did a very small and informal planning conversation with one of our smaller clubs. So there's many different ways we can do it. And so I see demonstrating by showing how district is doing things against its strategic plan. So, leading by example, building club planning champions. That's a great idea. Having Rotaract friendly materials, how to plan with high club turnover or high turnover in clubs. Some very good ideas here. So thank you. And I'm pretty sure, Rick, we can save this whiteboard, right? And because I know now you'll have to go back to my slide deck here, but hopefully we can save that. Or somebody can take a screenshot.
It's done.
That's because Rick is amazing. So thank you, Rick. So if you want to go back to the slide deck quickly, I just have a couple more slides. Do that. Okay. Very good. So next slide, please. And next slide, we're just going to get into the resources. So this one I really wanted to share, and it kind of touches on the questions we had a second ago, is how do we actually demonstrate the value of planning to clubs? So why would they want to bother doing it? And it helps clubs innovate and thrive and grow, which is actually one of our district goals. So how do we make the planning compelling? So we need another half-hour conversation around that. What are some ways we can make planning exciting? Next is making sure club members feel engaged in the process. Their input is valued, they're making a difference in the future of their club. So that's really important in the planning process. And then the readiness, which I kind of alluded to in terms of, are we actually ready for this? And where are we at? Where are our struggles? Maybe where do we need to get to next? So maybe just having a conversation at the club level around that. And then keeping that planning alive. It's really intended not to be a document that sits on a shelf and collects dust. So how can we kind of integrate it into the work that we do in our clubs? And I've worked with so many great clubs, and I don't want to say their names here, actually, because some of them are in the room. And I think we could share and learn from some of our other clubs that have gone through this process and had an amazing result as a result of it, and kind of share that excitement. So next slide, please. These are just some one-pager strategic plan templates that I've either worked with clubs on or that Rotary International has. And so I'll just, next slide, but there's some resources out there if you want to see them. This is my last slide, and it's just the different resources that we have at the district, as well as Rotary International and a couple others. And just wanted to make note that I'm also going to update some of our templates and resources, because I've actually developed a few more over the course of the year to share with clubs across the district. I would also love to hear from other district leaders, whether it's your committees or what AGs are doing or whatever, and how maybe there's some resources that you've come across or that clubs have asked you for and we don't have right now, but then maybe we can build that or add it to our toolkit. So that's my presentation in a nutshell. I hope it was it sparked some interest, and I would love to have a future conversation. So thank you.
Karen, thank you so much. It's really important that you need to understand where you want to get to and having a plan to get there. Otherwise, you're never going to reach your goals. Impossible unless you know where you're going and figure out a plan. So Karen, you did mention for people to contact you if they wanted further information, because I know you're always willing to chat with people about your passion. If you could put your email into the chat, that would be terrific. So any of the AGs out there, if you want Karen to assist you on bringing your clubs or working with your clubs on strategic planning, please get in touch with her. Or everybody here being a member of a Rotary or Rotaract club, if you need some help or see how this could benefit your club, please contact Karen. I know she would love to help you out on this. So once again, thank you, Karen. Okay, it's time for another break. If anybody wants to refresh their coffee, I'm all coffeeed out for this morning, so I'm not going to. I'm going to be sticking with water. If we can come back for 11:15. See you in a few minutes, everyone. Are you ready, Jamie?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Well, you're up on the screen.
So you better be ready.
Here we go.
Too late if you're not.
Yeah. Jamie, you just tell me when you want me to advance the slide, okay?
Okay.
Good.
Another minute or so before we start.
Yeah, will do. Yeah, noted, Kurt.
Yeah. Okay, let's get going again. It's 11:15. Where did my cursor go? There it went. We're starting to get people back. Excellent. I would now like to welcome Jamie Moorhouse to our virtual podium today. Jamie is a District Rotary Foundation Chair. He is a member of the Rotary Club at Stampede Park. Today, Jamie is going to be talking about the Rotary Foundation, tools for building better communities. Jamie, over to you.
Thanks, Kurt. So a little bit about the what is the Rotary Foundation, and maybe the place to start is really what is the Rotary Foundation itself. It has a lot of moving parts, can be a little confusing, and really the Foundation Committee's job is to help keep it all straight and support the clubs to make sure that they can take advantage of everything that it offers. Next slide. So the mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. The really important thing to highlight in that mission statement is the enable Rotarians part of that, because that is the real heart of the foundation. Its real reason for being is to give Rotarians a way to go out and do what Rotarians do best. And that is to make positive change in our communities, both locally and internationally. So our job on the Foundation Committee, like I said, is to help all of our clubs and members navigate down the paths made available through the foundation. Next. So the committee is actually made up of a group of Rotarians from across the district working on all the different offerings the foundation has. So it's actually made up of 5 different subcommittees. There's the fundraising, global scholarship, global peace fellowship, grants, and stewardship committees. Next. So the fundraising committee, their job is to try and find ways to motivate and encourage donations to the foundation's annual fund, the endowment fund, and Polio Plus. Without donations, there is no foundation, and without the foundation, there are no grants available. So it's super important that we do a good job fundraising, and the clubs themselves do a fantastic job of fundraising and inspiring donations from their members, with the fundraising team generally kind of focusing on a couple of district-wide events to help out with that. Next slide. A great example of that is the recent Move for Polio campaign led by our Polio Plus chair, Marlene Doherty. That campaign was fun, it was engaging, it got members from across the district involved, And ultimately, it raised $76,000 to end polio. That was, of course, matched 2-to-1 by the Gates Foundation, resulting in a $228,000 contribution towards ending the fight to end polio. Next. So in general, the fundraising team are just trying to find ways to get members engaged and excited about foundation giving. In the past, they've had events like the $1 Million Dinner, and most recently working with the Zone 28 and 32 virtual foundation gala. There will be another virtual foundation gala on February 23rd, so stay tuned for more info on that. And if anybody has any ideas on other types of events that we can try and get going district-wide, we're all ears. Next. We also have a new team member on the fundraising side of things in Stuart Zaidoff, who's taken on the role of annual fund endowment major gifts Paul Harris Society coordinator. So he, along with myself, is new to these roles. So we're trying to work through some plans and figure out exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and figure out some plans on how to support the clubs in letting members know the benefits of the foundation, the many ways to give to the foundation, and how you can ensure that your particular passion is being addressed and your gifts to the foundation are being used for what is your passion and your interest. And of course, to make sure that that everybody gets the recognition they so rightly deserve for their gifts. I think over the last 18 months or so, with no in-person meetings, we maybe have, some people have maybe got their pins, Paul Harris pins in the mail, or their major donor crystals in the mail. But we may have missed out on some of that. So we want to make sure we get up to date and get current with all the recognition that should be handed out, and then more importantly, that as we start to slowly come back to in-person meetings, that all of the people get their kind of get their moment in the spotlight in person once again, to be celebrated for the gifts. So we're hopefully we'll be trying to reach out to foundation chairs and presidents of the clubs to make sure that everybody has everything that they need. Next. So Global Scholarship Team and the Peace Fellowship Team are somewhat similar in that they both involve higher learning. The scholarship team recruits and vets applications for a one-year graduate scholarship. And the Peace Fellowship concentrates on providing funds to the Rotary Peace Centers. There are 7 Rotary Peace Centers around the world, 5 offering master's programs and 2 offering professional development certificates, all in peace and conflict resolution. These are 2 really amazing programs. And I feel that maybe they don't get a lot of press, so to speak, that they're not talked about a lot. So I would encourage anybody at their club level or AGs to maybe suggest to the clubs that they reach out to Marie for Peace Fellows or to Hendrik on the Global Scholarship side to get them to maybe speak at a club and run through what the program is and the eligibility requirements and share some of the real success stories of the program. Because I find that nothing generates interest in a program more than sharing in its success. Next. The grants. So the main purpose of the district grants subcommittee team is of course to get the money that the district receives from the foundation out into the communities where it's actually needed. And that happens through 2 streams of grants that clubs can apply for. There's the district project grants, which are generally local grants, and the community development, undergraduate scholarships, youth programs, travel, and vocational training teams. Community development grants can be local or international, so they're mostly local grants. And the other stream, of course, is the international or global grants side. And on the what's really neat here is that you can use community development grants for a wide range of things. You can use, including Indigenous projects that we have, as mentioned, there's one going on now. You can use just youth program grants for RAAC and RILA. And the really big news is that beginning in the next July 1st, Rotary clubs are now going to be eligible to receive any of those district project grants, so they can start using those grants to help get their own projects off the ground. And so with those wide range of grants and project types, you're bound to find one that fits with your passion, so that you can get out there and do something that's really important to you. The District Grant Subcommittee, of course, has teams that are focused on separate teams that are focused on each one of these streams, and are kind of all led by our District Grant Subcommittee Chair, Craig Henderson. Next.
So, Jamie, 1 minute warning.
Holy smokes. Okay, I'll talk fast. So each grant, of course, has its own eligibility requirements, policies, guidelines, timelines, matching formulas, and values. A lot of these things are dictated to us by TRF, and some are at the discretion of the district. So with this variety of grants available, it can be a bit confusing. And honestly, it can be a bit frustrating at times, navigating the process from making sure your club is qualified to applying for the grants, the timelines for completing the grant, and of course, reporting on it when it's all done. So our biggest job really is to support the clubs and the members that are making these applications so that they can be successful applications. Never hesitate to reach out to anybody on the district grants team at any point during the process with a question. We would far rather you ask us a bunch of questions than go down a path and end up doing something that wasn't allowed or incorrect. We'd rather find the problem fast, solve it, and make everything smooth for everybody else. Next. And we do have we do hold a grants webinar every October that goes through all of the requirements. We have a district grants website that helps support the members with all of the information that you would ever want to know about the grants, including all the terms and conditions, all the application forms. Well, that's where you go to submit your applications. It's where you can check on the status. And this year, we're going to have a refresher webinar in February, just before the global grant applications open April 1st, and the district grants close on May 1st. So because there's 5 or 6 months in between the grants webinar and when you're actually applying for grants, we thought it would be a good idea to refresh everyone's memory. And of course, it is our responsibility to ensure proper stewardship and governance of all the funds that we receive from TRF. So that means we have to review all the programs or all the applications, make sure they fall within the guidelines and all the I's are dotted and the T's crossed. And we, of course, also have a stewardship committee headed up by Hank Popoff that provides kind of a second review of all the grants to make sure that nothing has slipped through the cracks and we're not running afoul of any TRF rules that could cause a problem in the future. And the last but not least, I would just like to say that each of the people on the Rotary Foundation committee, of course, is dedicated to making sure that our district, and by extension, our clubs and members, are using every tool that TRF has for us, that everyone has fair and equal access to them, and that we are following all the rules to make sure that we are able to continue to provide resources to the club, to the clubs and to the members, so that, as the Rotary Foundation founder Arch Klump said, we can go do good in the world. And there, I talked really fast and got to the end. All done.
Thank you, Jamie. The Rotary Foundation is the financial engine of Rotary. It helps to fund much of the work that we do locally and around the world. Once again, thank you, Jamie, for all the hard work you and your entire committee does to administer the grants and encourage Rotarians to donate to the Rotary Foundation. Next up is Corey Trechek. Corey is the District Membership Committee Chair and is a member of the Rotary Club of Airdrie and in transition. Membership, we're keeping it simple. Over to you, Corey.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kurt. Yeah, happy to be here and share a little bit about our vision for hopefully the next 3 years, but certainly the next 6 months till the end of the Rotary year. Membership is a big problem, but also an opportunity in our district. And that's really what we want to focus on. So I won't harp on the numbers too much, but it's an incredibly complex area of the way that we run our clubs that starts with attraction and it includes engagement and hopefully also encompasses retention. So our committee's vision for this year is to get really down to basics, focusing on supporting clubs and their membership and making sure that the work that we're doing is as high impact as possible. So you'll see as I list our 4 priorities that we've arranged our priorities based on which is the least work up front for the most benefit. And our 4th priority is the most work with quite a bit of benefit, but will take longer to realize. So can I have the next slide, please? Priority number 1 is around membership leads. This is a really interesting area that I think is a great opportunity for our district. Every year we receive about 35 warm leads from Rotary. These are people who have indicated they want to learn more about Rotary or they're Rotarians who are transferring from another club or another district. So very high chance that they already know what Rotary is, the good work that we do and would like to get involved. But frankly, we have some room to improve. Next slide, please. This slide here shows, this is for the last 5 years. So we received 196 leads in the last 5 years. Sorting through some of them, we passed about 120 to the clubs, of which only 25 reached what we would call closure. So that's either they decided to, sorry, my math is bad, 25% reached closure. So that's either they've joined a club or they've indicated that they're not interested in joining Rotary. So next slide, please. This shows kind of a deeper drill down. We had 18% of those 120 members admitted. 51% were never contacted or followed up with past being assigned to a club. So big opportunity there. Next slide, please. Those 2 details were not to lump blame on clubs. The goal is, I guess, that we as a membership committee can do better. And something that we're going to do is stay with each of the new membership leads until they find closure. Either they indicate that they are willing to join a club or that it's not, Rotary isn't right for them at this time. I often joke that there's only 2 types of people in the world, those who are Rotarians and those who are not yet Rotarians. And it's not really a joke, but if you want to help with that, we would really love it if your clubs could designate a membership chair in Club Runner. This is something that only 26 of our district's clubs have done. And that means that we have to either email your president with the information or we're not reaching people efficiently to pass this information to them. If your club does need some help learning how to access the Rotary leads, I've linked inside of the slides so you can find the quick one-pager on how to do that. Yeah, and we can come back to questions on this a little bit later. Next slide, please. So the effect of this work is that we'll have more people joining Rotary, but also we'll have a better customer experience. I've been going through I've been calling all of our active but unclosed leads. I'm now back into the beginning of 2018, and something is really interesting. Everyone I talk to, almost everyone I talk to, is still interested in learning about Rotary. So I'm going to keep calling back. Our leads go back live as far as 2014. So I'll call all of them and see if we can help them to find a Rotary club that'll be a good fit for them. But think about it the other way. If we have people who were supposed to hear from one of our clubs, and 3 years, well, they never hear from us at all, that's not a great impression. Better, I guess, to have someone follow up. But anyways, just for every person that we don't give our full attention, it's a story that is out in the wild representing us, maybe not as we are or deserve to be represented. So next slide, please. Thank you. So priority number 2, we're basically going to copy a very successful idea. Some of you have participated in the All Presidents meetings that usually take place at the beginning of the month. I know the Calgary one is still going and is quite successful. So we want to create something similar to bring membership chairs of each of the clubs together so that they can share learnings, to work together on common problems, and really work to build a network of, hopefully we'll have clubs passing, encouraging members who leave their clubs to stay in Rotary and have the strong connections needed to move them along. So thank you. Whoever's running the slides, you're doing a great job. So we'll bring them together on a monthly basis. We'll be there in the beginning to help to formalize the structure. But afterwards, we just want to provide a supporting role. It's not our job to lead the conversation. Certainly, we will have things to add and information that we hope will be discussed. But I think the real power of these groups is the discussion that happens when, you know, everyone is of a similar position. So again, if you would like to help, the best way to do that would be to make sure that your membership chair is designated in Club Runner, or that the club you look after has done that. I basically put that twice, yes. So really what we've seen with the All Presidents groups, and I believe the international chairs also have a similar function, is that the committees themselves have aren't as well resourced to support the club chairs the club chairs are much better able to support themselves with their experience. And so having a strong connection between clubs is really useful. And this will also use it as a sounding board for our district initiatives. Next slide, please. So priority number 3 is to support the development of new clubs. So that's Rotary clubs, satellite clubs, passport, corporate, cause-based, Rotaract, Interact, Early Act, and there are some more that I missed. There's a lot. Next slide, please. So what we are committed to do is to help clubs learn about how to charter specific club types, to identify the club type that might be the best fit for their goals, find the official resources, either in people or information, and to support the initial meetings of these clubs. You know, building a team around the idea, helping to create a roadmap, and then working the roadmap. So yes, thanks. Next slide, please. The one thing we can't do is we can't start a club from scratch. There needs to be a dedicated group of people who want to create something. Well, once you have that, we can help. Next slide, please. So just an update on new clubs in the district that are at least on our radar. This list is by no means exhaustive. We try to keep our eyes on as much as possible, but this changes. So in Calgary, we currently have 3 Rotaract clubs that are exploring charter and 1 Rotary club. Cochrane has an Early Act and a Rotary club. Medicine Hat has a satellite club. They're just actually about to file their paperwork. And Red Deer has an Interact club on the way. If you're in a city and your club doesn't appear on this list, I'd appreciate just let us know, because we want to make sure that we're supporting you the best that we can. Lastly, priority number 4, boosting retention. This is priority number 4 because it is massive amount of work. We've done a lot of surveys. There's a lot of information, but turning that into tangible action and digestible tools for the clubs takes a little bit more work. So we want to make sure we're taking the time to do it right. So something we're doing that actually started last week is that we're reaching out to most of the terminated members. We get a report on a monthly basis saying so-and-so left a club. Our call is not to say, you know, what happened? It's we want to understand high-level trends from people who are leaving Rotary and understand what we can learn from their experience. The more interviews we do, the more we gather the information, the stories of Rotarians who decided to leave. The better able we are to prevent these losses in the first place. One of the other important things I think is much like with our list of leads from 3 years ago, once you're a Rotarian, once you've got the Rotarian heart, like that doesn't go away. Sometimes we take a break from a club, but it doesn't mean we're done with Rotary. So if it's appropriate, we'll assist in connecting those members with a new club. So as we're gathering this information, we'll compile it into reports that we'll submit to the district board that we'll share with our fellow district membership chairs. And we'll also be eventually producing kind of short 2 to 3 minute videos that we'll post on the district YouTube channel. So next slide, please. So this month, I think we're at 16 members lost. So that's a lot of calls. Generally, these are pretty emotional. They can be taxing phone calls. So to have one person make 16 calls in a month is not always feasible. So if you're someone who has a background in counseling, would just like to chat with Rotarians and help us to understand the broader themes in their experience, we'd love to have some help making those calls. The other thing you could do is to subscribe to our district YouTube page. It's linked in the slides, but if you just go to YouTube and type District 5360, there's only one. So next slide, please. Any questions? How am I doing on time, Kurt?
Well, I think we're about to run out. So if anybody has any questions for Corey, if you could put them in the chat, and Corey will either address them through chat or we'll get back to you later with them next week. So Corey, thank you so much for talking about the memberships committee's priorities and how the committee works to support clubs in our district. Thank you so much for all you do and all that the membership committee does. Last on our agenda for this morning is Judy Bopp. Judy is the District Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair. She is a member of the Rotary Club of Cochrane, and she's going to talk about busting barriers, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Judy, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Kurt. Kurt and I had this discussion about whether our pictures represent what we really look like now. You know, we have these pictures from years ago. We say, oh, wow. Anyway, you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion has come out as a strong focus for Rotary International. They've got some great material on the Rotary International website, but this is just the basic statement that they're making in terms of Rotary's commitment to be explicit about a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I just encourage people to go to the Rotary International website, and they have a long list of what that can look like rolling out. Next slide, please. So just quickly some definitions. Maybe some of you have seen these slides before. They're kind of prototypical of presentations about diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we'll just go through them really quickly. They're easily available too. So equity, the difference between equity and equality. And there's another follow-up picture that some people are adding, which is a picture of these 3 individuals watching the game, but there's no wall. So we could think about that perhaps as inclusion. So let's have the next slide. Inclusion really, in my way of thinking, is the place to start when you're going on this journey of becoming more conscious and explicit about this whole area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Just to see the next slide, this is kind of the bringing it all together. Okay, so next slide. I'm trying to make sure that we've got a little bit of time for discussion. And I see that I've missed a word on the first line there, but what the committee's plans are right now is developing a diversity, equity, inclusion challenge. So all the clubs can expect to receive that soon, which presents ideas about how you could be addressing the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you can keep score, and there will be some kind of an acknowledgement of clubs that are working well on this area at the district convention. So that should be coming out soon. So like most of the committees, we're looking for club champions. And I have to say that, you know, we put out a call in the district newsletter and we have received some people stepping forward. And it's really great. I've had the opportunity to speak to these individuals and hear their passion about the topic. And so, but our request here is from your clubs or from clubs that you're working with, if you could, again, ask them to consider if there's somebody in their club that would like to take on this role. Then we're dedicated to creating some tools to support clubs with issues that they've identified. You know, every club is kind of coming at this from a different point of view or from a different level. So they can ask questions like incorporating treaty land acknowledgements, and we would also direct them to the Indigenous Relations Committee. But things like that come up a lot is just the cost of Rotary. And so how can that be addressed in terms of equity and inclusion? We're creating some online and learning tools, but there's also a lot of tools that are coming out at the zone level, at the international level, and we want to compile them and make them more easily accessible to people. And then there's initiatives that kind of have been put on the back burner. We know that at the level of our current international president, empowerment of women and girls is a focus. So we're thinking about whether there's something that can be done in terms of women in Rotary. Next slide, please. So just here are some ideas for getting started. So if you think about inclusivity, just having that conversation in some way in the club to talk about what people's experience is. And I've heard even women who've been Rotarians for a long time saying there still are some rub issues there in terms of full inclusivity for women. Listen empathetically and with curiosity. You know, when people are sharing their experiences, it's easy to make preconceived judgments about what they're saying, but we need to listen empathetically and with curiosity. And then think about the way that we do things. And Rotary International, again, is really encouraging us to do that. What are all those things that might create barriers? How are decisions made? How are leaders chosen? Is cost a barrier? And does everybody have a chance to pursue a path of service that they're passionate about? Yeah, so Martin is letting us know too that the Rotary Day of Service has to do with empowering women and girls. That's a great point, Martin, and people will be hearing more about that. Next slide, please. So we can educate ourselves. And part of that is becoming aware of our own biases and preconceived ideas. And this is, as is stressed in this work, we all have preconceived ideas. That's not the problem. It's just when we can't be conscious of them and think about, is this something that I need to look at more closely? And then the language that we use can be a barrier for people. It can make people feel uncomfortable. And there have been whole workshops about that, about language, and we can link you up with that. And then learning more about your community, because it's not just the diversity that's in your club, but it's how you interact with the community as a whole. So what parts of the community are feeling left out, who are most marginalized and excluded? Can we form trust relationships with people who are outside our current networks? And this is a big thing because it's really easy to fall into patterns, to fall into ways of doing things where we work with certain prominent groups in our community or certain individuals, and we don't look beyond that somehow. So how can we work with people who don't necessarily fit the profile of the Rotarians that we have in our club right now, and how can we extend that? So that, I hope, was really quick, because I want you to have a chance in breakout groups to just look at these questions. And if you don't get to all of them, that's fine, but just let's start that discussion. So Brian, can those be put in the chat and we can get people into breakout groups?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay.
Okay, I'll open the rooms now so you have a few minutes to discuss.
Thank you.
Rob, can we cut and paste those questions on that last slide into the chat room?
Yeah, can you put it back on the screen?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Can you see it?
No, I just see your name.
Yeah, okay. Let me fool around here.
Actually, I have the, I'll try and open the, actually, I'll try and open the presentation quickly.
Okay. Well, it's slide 105.
Yeah. You keep trying just because I know the breakout rooms are quick.
Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can do this. Paste options. No. Won't allow me to
It's
do it.
opening on my side, Brian.
Okay, I'll back out then so I don't confuse things.
On it.
Okay.
I just put it in, Rob.
Did you? Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Thought it was going pretty fast, but there you go.
Looks like Sharvy is not joined.
Yeah, Charlie and Karen must be doing, so they just must be doing something.
Oh, okay.
They just need to accept the invitation, right, on their side. So, but if they're not, they've been assigned, but they just haven't accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long do we want to have the breakout room? Same thing, 8 minutes. So stop at 7. So it closes at 8.
Yeah, we got about, how long are we into it now?
Well, we're already a couple minutes behind, but that's okay. It's not going to be too much over, but
yeah.
We're 4 minutes into it now. Like, well, there's 6:50 remaining, 7 minutes remaining basically of the 10. So we're 3 minutes in.
Well, I would go, Kirk's scheduled to close at 11:55, so I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be 5 minutes, so
Yeah.
maybe give it till 11:57 and then bring them back. How's
Okay.
that work? Yeah.
Got you. Well, Charlie joined the room now, so that's fine.
Yeah, and Mohammed's been off grid most of the
Yeah,
morning.
he's driving, which is fine. He said
Yeah.
he's listening.
Karen left. She had to take her daughter to get her
Oh, okay.
COVID needle.
Shoot, I didn't know that. I could have. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just the rooms are imbalanced, but that's fine. I'm sure they're having a good discussion. There's only 3 people in that room now, and there's 6 in another one, so I could have balanced that out, but that doesn't matter.
Oh no, that's fine.
Or 5. Sorry, there's a couple 5s. Yeah, there's 3 5s and 4 and a 3. Whatever, it's fine.
That, Rob, has gone much better than my experience in doing it, so I appreciate what you're doing to
Yeah, no problem.
get it set up.
Yeah.
Brian
No
and
problem.
I've had a few hiccups that way. So
yeah,
yep, we have.
And the learning for me in Zoom is that there are 3 options for breakout rooms. One of them, the first one, is automatic. But automatic means you still have to build them.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't automatically. It can, I mean, once you had it set up, you could run as many breakout rooms as you want. It's only if you want to change the mix, right?
Yeah, that's right. I could have easily reassigned people to different rooms if I wanted to. I just left them in the same rooms. It's just easier.
It's simple. Yeah.
Again, I just got, I built all the rooms before, but then just not the people that were like, for example, like I didn't know Mohammed was driving, right? So it kind of makes it a bit of an imbalance, or people that had to leave early, but that's fine. Like I adjusted a little bit, like I put Charlene to 1 and then just moved her because it was imbalanced. So I mean, it's easy to adjust. I didn't realize that Karen was gone though, because she's still logged in. So she must be listening. So.
Well, if she is, she's got it on her phone, I guess, because
maybe.
she told me she was running to take her daughter to get her.
Yeah.
I put in the chat to thank her for being courageous.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay, so I've closed the room, so everyone's gonna be joining in about 40 seconds.
Yep. So I'll go back.
Yeah, Brian, I would get the presentation ready to go. You have 30 seconds.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, you could go right back to the breakout slide there that she had. Yeah, that's the one.
There you go, perfect.
Okay, good. Can you see it, Rick?
Yeah, oh yeah. Look,
good.
You just need to go to slideshow or whatever it is.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
Okay, and the rooms are closing. So we have 5 seconds, so everyone's gonna be joining us.
They're coming. Quickly.
So Brian, we can have the next slide then, which is just questions.
Yeah.
Do people have any thoughts that they want to bring forward, things that they talked about in their group, or questions that they have about how they can be supported? That would be great.
Judy, can we just a quick comment from our group?
Sure,
and the
Mark.
question of the question of finances came up because that is an excluder for a number of people, and it seems to keep coming up. And I think that's something maybe might be worth addressing through your committee.
Right, and so the 2 things that are currently clubs are trying, as we mentioned, is just creating the option for Friends of Rotary. So these are people who can be active, they can come to meetings, they can participate in projects and so on, but they don't have that stress of having to join right now, and that means they don't have to pay dues right now. and that conversation can be had over time. And we need to be flexible, you know, for people to come up with the dues all at one time. Maybe we need to have that conversation with our treasurers about how people can pay their dues a little bit monthly. And then also some clubs have a special account which can subsidize dues for people who really are in that position that it's just a barrier, you know, and yet they are active in every way, and every way they're living up to the 4-way test, they're participating and so on. So can we offer a little bit of support? Those are 3 ways right now that people are talking about, and certainly willing to have those conversations with the club champions.
You there, Kurt?
I am indeed. I don't hear any more questions. So thank you, Judy. We certainly do need to bust barriers. I strongly believe in diversity. A variety of outlooks makes us stronger. Equity, everyone needs a fair chance to participate. And inclusion, I mean, why would we want to exclude people? Once again, thank you so much, Judy.
You're welcome. Maybe people could look at the chat. There's a great suggestion here from Margie as well.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you, Judy. At the beginning of the day, I promised that I would talk just a little bit about the Rotary Learning Center. 90% of the people on this call today have My Rotary accounts. So having a My Rotary account is the first step. The next step is going into the Learning Center. This is an amazing resource for everything Rotary. There are learning plans for every single district role and committee. Next week, I'll be sending out a little bit of information on how to access the Learning Center and where on the Learning Center the training plan for your district role can be found. I would like to thank all of our presenters for all the hard work that they have put into preparing for today and spending their Saturday morning with us. I would also like to thank our behind the scenes people managing our technology, Rick Eisted, Brian Callahan, and Rob Wolfson. Thank you guys so much. And last but not least, I would especially like to thank everyone who is attending today and giving up your Saturday morning. I hope you leave this meeting knowing at least one more thing about Rotary than when you came in today. And I hope you've learned how our district and district committees support our clubs and members. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for coming out today. Have fun.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah,
Have a
bye
great
now.
weekend.
Take care, guys
Bye.
and gals.
Bye.
Thanks to Rob and Brian for
Yeah, we got her done, Rick. Hey, right on. We're good. Take care.
Always smooth. Good job, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Good seeing you again, Judy.